Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 4. There's only 2 episodes left to go. I've been vocal in my praise of the first 3 episodes of the series. In fact, episode 3 of the series so far, I loved it so much. I thought it was fantastic. I personally felt they did a great job with Vader. I felt the whole series was taken to a whole new level with that episode. Episode 4 comes along and it was kind of... it had its moments, but it was very much a filler episode. Now, Clone Wars had this. They had episodes where Obi-Wan just goes on an adventure, or Anakin goes on an adventure, or Ahsoka goes on an adventure. And those episodes were cool on their own, but they didn't really add a whole lot to the series. This one, it adds some elements to the series, but I'm starting to get burning questions, and they're not being answered so far. For example, now maybe I'm completely wrong here, but when we watch Star Wars A New Hope for the first time, and Leia gives the message to R2-D2, which ultimately goes to Obi-Wan Kenobi. She says something along the lines of, General Kenobi, you helped my father in the Clone Wars.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire.
Blah, 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 you're my only hope. But that would suggest that Leia doesn't know Obi-Wan Kenobi or doesn't remember Obi-Wan Kenobi at that point. From my understanding, A New Hope is set 9 years after Obi-Wan Kenobi. I could be wrong on that, maybe someone can correct me in the comments section, but I believe it's supposedly 9 years later. So Leia would be 19? That's a bit weird. So at some point, young Leia is going to have to go through some memory wipe or have some traumatic event that makes her forget about Obi-Wan altogether. Or else it's a different Leia, which would be kind of weird. Now at the same time, in this episode, the stuff between Leia and Reva was fantastic, in my opinion. I think young Leia, the actress who plays young Leia, I mentioned it in the first review for the episode 1 and 2, I think she's fantastic. Knocks it out of the park, perfect casting, big future ahead for her. But even seeing Reva trying to use force powers on her and Leia saying stuff like, are we having a staring contest? What's happening? Suggesting she's force sensitive, she's able to like block all that stuff out. That was pretty cool. There was moments in this episode which were just comically bad. The sound design, the sound effects at times. The woman, what was her name? The woman that was helping them, she was pretending to be a Sith and she was helping Obi-Wan Kenobi. I forget her name. But at one point she's got 2 Stormtroopers either side of her. She needs to break away, so she's going to hit them. And she turns and slaps one of the Stormtroopers' helmets on the face and just makes a twonk sound. Just go twonk. Good sound effects right here. Hollywood, if you're listening. It was such a hollow, plasticky sound effect. And then later on, when they're all trying to walk away through this Sith base and Obi-Wan Kenobi's got this big coat, he's got Leia under the coat, obviously. He looks like a homeless man. Between the scruffy beard and the big coat, which was way too big and it was shaggy and creasy and looks weird. And then the hat kind of looking weird. He looks like this completely out of place homeless man just walking through a Sith base and nobody noticed until Reva came along and was like, hey, stop. You're not leaving. You're the bad guys as far as we're concerned. Small little things like that were just, you know, it's poor direction. It's poor choices. Episode 4, maybe it'll add something later on down the line, but it didn't feel like it added anything to the series overall. Very much a filler episode. Although maybe that's just because I want to see more of Vader and Obi-Wan stuff. And in the back of my mind, I'm kind of hoping with Obi-Wan constantly praying or talking to Qui-Gon Jinn, or trying to connect with Qui-Gon Jinn, at some point, possibly at the very, very end, we're going to get a Liam Neeson cameo. That would be fantastic. Overall, I'm enjoying the series so far, but episode 4 was definitely the weakest for me so far of the series. I'd love to know your opinions on the series in the comment section below. Let's talk about Star Wars.